Welcome to Create the Edge. In this episode, we are back down under, respectively in Sydney and Melbourne. I'll pass over to Yusuf to introduce our lovely guests for this episode.
Thank you so much, Joy, and it's an absolute pleasure to go back down under to two places which are very close to my heart, Sydney and, of course, Melbourne. So I'd like you to meet Carl, who is the founder of Meet Magic, a social experiment which is a B2B marketplace, raising money for charities by connecting business leaders for regular coffee meetings. So your bona fide corporate Robin Hood, per se. Right. and on the other side, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome Mariam, who is a strategist, consultant, and speaker who speaks around macro level talent engagement and intergenerational workforce inclusion to empower the undervalued intellectual potential of people. In other words, she actually connects you to your why. So, there's one question which especially in this day and age of technology, which a lot of us are actually sort of, wanting to get a little bit more clarity on. Our question from our audience, from the Create the Edge team, would be, in today's world, where change is the only constant, when you've got to embrace it, and the advances in technology are being used in everything and anything. I mean, in your opinion, how important is a human touch in business moving forward? So to share his opinion, I'd like to invite Carl from Meet Magic first. Thank you.
Hi, guys, and thanks for having us on. This is brilliant that you're doing this, so I really appreciate the introduction. Look, I think Meet Magic is exactly that. It's basically a combination of technology, but with a human edge. Mm-hmm. So I created Meet Magic as a way to connect people, typically the millennials, because they don't really like making too many cold calls. So we created a platform for them to point and click and book a meeting with an exec. But the whole idea behind Meet Magic is to create that human edge where an executive can sit down and have a coffee meeting and raise some money for his favorite charity at the same time. So the spin-offs from that are just huge because they get to feel really good about what they're doing during the day, and they're doing what they would do every day anyway, which is just a meeting, but they're raising money for charity. So I think the human element is it's fundamentally, it has to be there. I think if it's not there, then you're just selling software. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but you often see software companies that just sell software. They don't have a footprint of salespeople running around. They just sell the software online, and there's no connection to it. So I think it's really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where a lot of companies actually sort of make a mistake, because they are keeping on trying to just better their backroom, but they're not focusing on the communication that they're actually having with others around them. And this is what Joy sort of absolutely specializes in basically humanizing communication and branding. So, I mean, and that is so important, because, once you start having these conversations, and especially empowering your own employees to start with, that's where you actually start creating the magic. And, what you're doing here at this present moment, Carl, is absolutely phenomenal. I think it's an amazing initiative, especially with, you're bringing philanthropy and you're bringing corporate social responsibility together, and adding that human element of emotion. And that's absolutely fantastic. So wishing you all the very best, mate. So
what's really exciting is that when you get up in the morning and you walk on the park with your dog, knowing that what you're doing is truly beautiful and making the world better. Yep. When you get up in the morning, jumping out of bed, feeling alive, it's because you found your purpose. This is really my purpose. Yesterday was a classic example. We had the CIO of channels at Westpac take a meeting via Meet Magic with one of our clients. That meeting was really powerful as a business meeting. So there was a lot of value added in that meeting from the client to Westpac. Mm-hmm. The CIO actually nominated Buy a Bale, which is a charity that's supporting the farmers who are under considerable drought pressure here. And so I called the Buy a Bale charity and said, look, we've got $500 here for you. And I asked them what that $500 will do. And she said, it will buy 5 bales of hay to feed 5 cows for a week, or it will buy 2 farmers 11,500 litres of water for their tank, which means we'll be able to have a shower for the first time in a long time. Now, if taking a business meeting over coffee and making an impact like that doesn't make you feel good, then you must not have something inside your body. You must not have a heart at all, because that's the kind of stories we create. Every time we have a meeting, there's always an impact. So our mission is to create 10,000 of these meetings every month. And you think about the farmers, if there's 10,000 meetings happening across the country, I don't think the farmers are being drought for much longer.
Exactly. And, I think perfectly put, Carl. And thank you so much for sharing this amazing journey and for sharing your purpose. So moving over to Mariam. So we would be really, really interested to get your spin on how you feel, technology is being humanized in a more collaborative manner moving forward.
Yeah, so following through from what Carl mentioned, technology builds on that core premise that humans are social animals and will always look towards trying to connect with people or just trying to connect with people on a face-to-face and an electronic basis. But what I think I have begun to see is that because of, especially with the younger generation, because technology has been embedded in their life growing up and also during their early childhood, they're looking to networking as a more blended approach of face-to-face in addition to also online as well. And you see the generational gap where you have the older generation perhaps really having that face-to-face interaction, and then the younger generation willing to network and meet on platforms like Meet Magic, online platforms, even on social networking sites. And so therefore that should be sufficient enough for them. What's happening now is a challenge is having to balance that expectation between having to move younger people offline to finally meet somebody face to face, and also allowing that conversation to be had around connecting on email and only on email, or only on social media, perhaps is also the way forward. Because globalization and that breaking down of barriers, we don't necessarily have to have that face to face, but our relationships are sufficient and succulent enough on online platforms. And that's probably where human touch, yes, but not the physical human touch, but human touch through electronic means is what we will be seeing in the future as well.
Absolutely. I think you've clarified it and put it very succinctly. So thank you so much, Mariam. It's so important actually for everyone to be able to relate to people. And this is what I say all the time, connect, relate, engage. So you've got to connect meaningfully, and you've got to be able to relate to actually what the other person wants, desires, what their needs and requirements are, and then to be able to, engage properly with and that's where the magic begins. So thank you so much for your sharing, Mariam. It's really appreciated.
I've been listening to Carl, I've been listening to Mariam, and there's a little connect. I won't say an idea bulb, but this, Mariam, you use the word blended for the younger generation. So they're looking at a technology and a face-to-face, and you're saying, how do we move them out to go more face-to-face? And on the other end of the spectrum, if I call it that, Carl is actually getting a group of people making money, corporates doing business, to actually use a process. Every one of us has meetings throughout the day, but if you take one meeting through that technology come personal interaction, you are actually having a direct impact to somebody else through that philanthropy. Great. Now that's the humanization part. Carl's actually telling corporates or businesses, you're doing it, whatever you're doing. I'm not even asking you to step out of line, but while you're doing it, can you just do this through this platform or do it this way? And boom, you're immediately having a CSR, if you were to call it. And here, Mariam, you're saying, hey guys, you're going in and you're talking to somebody, just use this platform or go one step further and have a coffee meeting and spend 1 hour talking face to face. So love it. I just had to bring that in because in my head, that humanized part is coming out so beautifully. And one of the things that Create the Edge we are doing is we're trying to sort of drive this. Technology is not bad, and technology is going to evolve whether we like it or not. The question is, Carl, you said this, do we have the heart to be able to connect, relate, and engage? I'm using Yusuf's phrases here because connect with the technology, understand what the technology does. And AI cannot, cook and play chess simultaneously, from one of our previous participants on the show. So if you connect and then you relate to that, you automatically fuse, you engage in your own way, which is the human way. Thank you so much. Right. So please do.
Sure.
Yeah, we also have to consider the cultural element as well, in addition
Very
to
much.
that.
Very much.
Based on your average low context, high context cultures, where most Western countries are very low context and very direct in the way they communicate, technology should ideally enable a higher integration to be able to connect with people because of that. But because of collective cultures, it is so much more difficult to use technology to connect and break into silos and cliques within cultures. So that's a conversation that we need to have as well, and how we use technology like Meet Magic to break those boundaries and break those barriers that we have built within societies.
Yep. Very well pointed out, Mariam.
It's really interesting how we see that. I mean, right now, I'm seeing people in Victoria are being more generous with their time than people in Queensland, than people in New South Wales. Queensland are not even on the map. I mean, you've got Victoria at the leading the charge for us, and you've got New South Wales then, and then Queensland, Northern Territory not even there yet. But you know, if we look at women and men here in terms of giving, now I don't want to bring it to this level, but you know, the gender pay gap is pretty important because women earn 15% less than men in Australia, right? Yet women donate more of their time to charity. They donate more of their income to charity than men, and that works out to be something like 0.39% of wages that women donate to charity. So if you basically close that gender pay gap, that would be $180 million going into the charity sector, just because women donate more than men. So if you think about that in real human terms, that means that World Vision would be able to, let's say, sponsor 3.7 million more children. Or if you want to take it to another level, that means Fred Hollows could fix 7 million people's eyesight just by closing the gender pay gap.
Correct. Very well said. Very well said.
Right. Let's move into the last segment. So, Carl, Mariam, the segment is, can you share one thing with us that our viewers and LinkedIn family members that we associate with wouldn't really know about you from your profile, right? Anybody who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So I grew up with a Jamaican family, and I can speak Jamaican. I'm not going to, but we can chat all them weird. So I have my sister Paulette. If she's on, she might be on LinkedIn. She might see her. But hi, Paulette. So I was raised in a Jamaican family, and I actually cook Jamaican food too. But one of the key things, and the reason we were laughing about this before, the reason I left Nottingham in the UK was because there were 6 women to every man, and I just couldn't cope.
Nice one. Nice one.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Mariam, go ahead.
Well, I don't know. I think it comes down to, I think I'm a really shy and private person. And one thing we see on social media is a very public profile, and we only see what that person wants to see.
Correct.
So over here, and then there's a whole lot of other things on this side of the screen that's not visible on camera. And I think that's what I want our viewers to leave with, that we are so much more than we are on camera. And I think everything you see on social media, you have to take with a grain of salt, because you don't see the full context or the full picture. And so see what the person is, for what they're saying on camera, but also try to seek out the context and context of the story, effectively.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Carl and Mariam. Really appreciate it. So it's interesting as to how sometimes people on real life are so different to people in real life. So and I think you put that through very, very succinctly. So we really do wish you both the very best in whatever you are doing, especially with Meet Magic, with Carl, and Mariam with your speaking engagements. So we really do wish you both the very best, and thank you once again for gracing Create the Edge, and with your amazing candor, your amazing insights, and your presence.
Thank you
once
so
again.
much. Thank you so much.
Take care.